Hello, folks. You are listening to the Deal by Me podcast with Dr. James W. Smith, your host, where we ask you to share us and tell us your story. Your story can encourage, it can inspire, and hopefully can transform a life. We have this morning with me Richard Nichols, coming all the way from Chino, California. We are so happy to have him share with us today as he will share some of his experiences and events in his life. And I just know that you're going to enjoy this great interview. And so now we're going to talk to Richard Nichols. Uh, Richard, I hope you don't mind me calling you Richard. Uh,
Not at all. That's my name.
all right, we just say
Wear it out.
we just say Richard this today. Richard, would you tell us a little bit about yourself, uh, where you uh, hail from originally, and just a little bit of your background? Listeners would be interested to know a little bit about you today.
All right, I do that. My name is Richard Darrell Nichols. I was born in Gary, Indiana, and I grew up with the Jackson Five right down the street with the Jacksons. I was in Latoya Jackson's kindergarten class, so that's how far we went back. I'm the eighth child of 12 children. I have two sisters, and it was 10 boys. Um, I grew up I would say not quiet, but kind of shy in the background. But then being part of that big family, you have to come out and perform sometimes. I remember on holidays, my grandmother would have us like a talent show. We have to get up and dance. But I tried to shy away from that, For some reason, I don't know why I did that. I wish I hadn't, because one thing, I have three left feet. I cannot dance, sing, or anything. And I think if I had practiced, I would have been a little bit better than I am today. I've learned that most people on the dance floor do not know how to dance. Not most people, but some people on the dance floor do not know how to dance. They just move and enjoy themselves. And I've learned to go 1, 2, up and back. But I started out, I graduated from high school in 74. I went to Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana. I majored in journalism and multicultural education. I When I graduated, I started out as a substitute teacher. For some reason that I wanted to get into education. And I started out as a substitute teacher. Um, I subbed in Gary for 3 years. Then I moved to Los Angeles, California, August 24th, 1981, 12 midnight. The plane hit the ground and I saw the lights in the hills of Los Angeles, California. And that was 42 years ago. And my journey here has changed my life. I started subbing in the Los Angeles School District. I sat there for 6 years while I was going to school at Dominguez Hills, and I got a credential in special ed, severely handicapped. And while I was getting my degree, the human resource person from Los Angeles County Office of Education saw that I had 9 units in special ed. So she offered me a job in special ed, and she said if I would go back to school, they would hire me permanently. So that's what I did. I went and completed my specialist credential in special ed, and I taught special ed for 32 years with Los Angeles County Office of Education. I retired in 2018. Now, bagging up.
How many years were you
Total?
Yes, totally.
I was in education for 40 years.
And I assume right at this point you're now retired. Am I correct?
I'm retired. Yes, doing more now than I did when I was working.
Well,
Excuse me, my wife is coming. She'll be here 1 minute. Mhm.
that's nothing unusual. Most people, when they retire, they have more to do after they retire than they did
Right, right.
during that time. Um, I also just looking at your bio, and I note that you are a photographer.
Yes.
You
Let
also
me,
co-host. So tell me a little bit about those two sideline things that you do.
surely. And I want to thank you. I didn't thank you for having me here. This is really the opportunity and it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. Now I got into photography. I started taking pictures in the second grade, you might say. And I would take pictures of any and everything and all of my family members. And they would say, get out of my face, get out of my face. And my brother was killed in Vietnam. And I took in 1967. And I took pictures, of his funeral and the people that came to the house. And going back reviewing those pictures, I said, even though that was a sad time, it gave me a feeling of great pride to see all the people come out and to wish us well and to give us the support during that time. And looking at those pictures, I said, I love looking at history, recording. And so from that moment, I would take pictures of everybody and everything. And I'm glad I did because as the years went by, I had collected a lot of pictures. And for the one family reunion, I took pictures from each family reunion that I had gone to. I had a 6 foot, uh, 6 feet butcher paper, and I would put each pictures from each family reunion on the butcher paper. And one display, I had pictures of all my family, different pictures of family members from the years. And people, during that time, they would say, don't take my picture, get away. But when they saw those pictures on the wall, oh, I need that picture. I said, no, you didn't want me to take that picture. And so I have collected a lot of history, you would say,
Okay.
taking pictures. And then we'll get back to that. I do red carpets.
Okay.
Just being on the red carpet in Hollywood, being in Hollywood, I'm a real Hollywood guy. Okay.
Uh, is that how you got to know Tennessee? Uh,
I met Tennessee, I think in 2013, we were at the NAACP Theater Awards, and I saw Tennessee in the hall. We passed each other, and Tennessee is a beautiful young lady, so I had to talk to her. and Ella Joyce, the actor from Rocky, was standing right there next to us, and Tennessee asked me to take her picture with Ella Joyce, and so
oh,
I did, and
uh,
that's how our relationship got started.
yeah. So
But
that's how a lot of this photography and what have you came about. But you uh, took a lot of the pictures, Hollywood. Uh,
Hollywood, yeah.
okay. Oh,
When let me say this now. Actually, I'm not what you call a Hollywood, but
uh-huh.
regular, what I say, regular photographer. But I have been more places, not more, but a lot of places that for regular Hollywood photographers have not been. And that's because I have either slipped in through the back door, through the kitchen, and into the room. And let me preface that also, God has put me in places that I have never dreamed of being in.
I definitely understand that. Definitely.
Yes.
I definitely understand that.
I haven't even asked to be in certain. I didn't even know there were places such as some of the places I've been until I slipped in. But let me say this: in moving to Los Angeles, you always look for Beverly Hills, you look for Hollywood, I was really disappointed in Beverly Hills because I was looking for hills. And Beverly Hills is a flat land. You go into the Hollywood Hills and you'll find some hills. Hollywood was kind of run down. When I first got here, Sunset Boulevard was full of prostitutes. You could any day you could find over 200 prostitutes there. Santa Monica, Sunset was for the females. Santa Monica was for the male prostitute. Now Los Angeles cleaned that up. They took all the prostitutes away and put them in South Central in 1984 when the Olympics came. They wanted to give a positive image of Hollywood. And so they sent them to South Central. I don't know why they did that. Well, we know why they did that, but anyway, I went there. So in 1983, before the 9/11, you could go to the Shrine Auditorium where they had the American Music Awards, the Grammys, and you could see the celebrities on the red carpet. And one day, Gladys Knight and the Pips came on, and I went and grabbed Gladys Knight and told her about a story where her daughter took a picture that I had taken of her and took it up to her room when she was visiting Gary, and she had his autograph. Oh, and so wow. I was telling her that story, still walking with her towards the door. And when we got to the door, they let me in with Gladys Knight because I guess they thought I was with her.
Oh, wow. Wow. What a story. You know, I tell you, looking at your bio, I could really see that you've just done so much. It's almost going, I feel terrible that I'm not going to even be able to get into all of it because it's so exciting and so interesting. Now, tell me a little bit about your co-host of the Sunday Rose show.
Now, see, when I say
show,
what
is that about?
When I say God put me places that I never dreamed of, today, right now, I'm still trying to put my verbs and nouns, make them agree. You know, I struggle with that and just speaking. But I don't know if you knew, James Cleveland had a commentator, Miss Edna Tatum. And I would follow Edna around because I fell in love with her from the James Cleveland live at Carnegie Hall. She was the commentator on that album. And let me say also, I'm not a groupie, I'm a professional groupie. So I followed her around and I took a lot of her pictures. And Edna died in 2013. But before she died, her last CD, she used one of my pictures on her CD. And the lady, Sandy Rose, she's out of Detroit, Michigan, was Edna's producer. So I had heard about Sandy, but I never met Sandy. But Sandy came to Edna's funeral and got up and spoke. And I said, oh, that's Edna. I mean, that's Sandy Rose. So after the funeral, I went up to her and introduced myself and told her who I was. And so we became friends on Facebook. And then I saw that she had a show, the Sandy Rose Show. It comes on WVTC Gospel Radio in Detroit, Michigan. We come on Monday and Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 p.m. my time, Pacific. And so I would listen to her show, and it's a podcast almost like this Zoom, and I would comment on her show. And so one day she asked, would you like to come on and be a host? And that was August 8th, 2019, I think it was 2020. And so I've been on her show as her co-host ever since. And it has been a great blessing just to be there. We've interviewed people like Janie Bradford from Motown, Claudette Robertson, former Miracle and the First Lady of Motown, Iris Gordy. We've had Mickey Stevenson from Motown. Gerald Austin, who just celebrated a birthday day before yesterday. So we've had a lot of
I
good
happen
people.
to know Gerald Austin.
You know, Gerald?
Yeah,
Now,
Gerald
Gerald,
was originally from North Carolina. It's from
oh,
Henderson,
right,
North Carolina.
right, exactly. Now, we used to do Sam Cooke tribute. Cousin was married to Sam Cooke's sister, Agnes. And
Okay.
so it started in 2001, they would have a tribute to Sam Cooke. And Gerald Austin would always be the performer. He would come and
Oh,
donate
wow.
his time.
Wow.
So I became friends with Gerald just through the Sam Cooke
Yeah. To
tribute.
share with you a little bit about Gerald Austin, we were very close. As a matter of fact, my former law partner in his retirement had Gerald Austin to come down and he sung a song for him at his retirement. Yeah,
All right.
that was he retired from the judgeship. He became a
Oh,
district
okay.
judge in Henderson. So we were very close. So when you mentioned his name, I thought, oh, I know somebody, you know.
Right, right.
Let me kind of move along a little bit. Now you sing in the choir in your church, so you're very involved. I take it in the community in which you reside.
Yes, growing up in Gary, being part of that community, uh, Gary's predominantly Black, and it was then, and we were very progressive, I would say. And we had the Honorable Mayor Richard Gordon Hatcher.
Mhm.
And so he would bring a lot of celebrities and political figures to the city. And my father was a policeman, and he was Mayor Hatcher's bodyguard. So I got a chance to see a lot of events. And as a matter of fact, I was at the start of the Black Caucus um, in 1972. I think it started in Gary and was at West Side High School. So I was privileged to see a lot of community things. So when I came to Los Angeles, I wanted to be part of community and activists. But then, when you first come to a city, sometimes you're not prepared. And I wasn't prepared, but I just came anyways. And when I say prepared, I mean financially.
Well,
And
let me ask you this, because you're talking about out in California. What made you decide to leave Gary, Indiana, and go to California? And did you sell it in Chino, California?
okay, right.
Curious about.
Well, I had a friend, my best friend. We became friends in the ninth grade at Gary Roosevelt High School. We graduated. Then we went to Ball State together, and I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and he became a member after that. He was one of the original Soul Train dancers that started Soul Train in Chicago when it was just a pilot station with Don Cornelius. But then after they moved to California, Reggie came. His name is Reginald Tyrone Thornton. After they moved to California, Reggie came out and got on Soul Train. That was in 1980. And he wanted me to come with him, but I wasn't prepared. I wasn't sure. I wasn't ready to make that move. But then in 1981, I was subbing in Gary and they were laying teachers off. So I knew I was in the cut. I wasn't even on the block yet. So I said, well, maybe if I come to California, if I didn't make it, I could come back home because my mother and family, they still love me and they'll accept me back home. But I came out here, I would say on a vacation, and I haven't gone back yet.
Oh, wow, wow. I was had to kind of laugh a little bit when you talked about your buddy being with dancing with the Soul Train, and
Right.
you were telling me about how you couldn't dance at all. I said, how did that happen? You
And
didn't
you know
know Soul
something?
Train?
It's not what you know, sometimes it's who you know.
I agree. I agree with that.
And he got me into Soul Train. I danced on Soul Train from August of 81 to December of 81.
Hmm.
And the camera caught me several times. I have a tape in my garage where they showed me moving and grooving, faking and shaking. but but said that was an opportunity that was given to me, and I just took it and used that opportunity. But I'm not a dancer, so we won't even claim that.
Okay. Okay, I won't make you claim it. We'll let that stay where it is. I I have well, my background is I practiced law for 10 years in Henderson, North Carolina.
Okay.
And that's obviously that's where I got to meet and know Gerald Austin.
Yes. Mm.
And I went in, got into gambling, and of course, lost my license and ended up at a place I'm not proud of. But for the last almost 32 years, I've been pastoring at the same church in
Oh, okay. Praise the Lord, everybody.
the same church in Durham County. It's a little place called Bahama, North Carolina. And of course, I'm retiring at the end of this year.
Okay.
One of the things I wanted to do when I retire is to continue doing what I'm doing now. And I just started doing podcasting. And my concept was to continue my ministry by what I would hope would help, encourage, inspire people who were going through some challenges and difficulties in their life. And so, one of
Hmm.
the things that I ask uh, people who come on my podcast
Right.
is to kind of share uh, your experiences and events and ask you how those experiences and events in your life can benefit uh, listeners who may be going
Right.
through some difficulty. Can you share a little bit about that? And I'm asking you only because your background is so very extensive. You have
Okay.
so much, and I feel really privileged to just be able to have you on my podcast today.
Oh, I'm humbled by that. Praise the Lord.
Just it's just exciting, and I know listeners would be interested to just what can you tell them? You know that
Well, let me start with this. I remember I told you I was kind of shy, quiet growing up, was afraid to talk to people sometimes. And it depends on what situation I was in. But really, I had a hard time talking to girls, should I say. And I remember I told my best Reggie that I was liking this girl. And so he brought up to me and said, Richard, like you, do you know what I did? I ran. It's my heart dropped. But then I was in college at Ball State, and I said, Lord, please let me be able to talk to anybody about anything if it is nothing but the weather. And I promise you the next day, and let me say this, the next day I had pledged Omega Psi Phi, and they made me president. And that next day I had to go to a meeting that was with all the fraternities and sororities. And so in that meeting, I had to speak up. I had to say something, and I was able to talk in that meeting. Just after that day, I asked the Lord to let me be able to say something to anybody. And right now, my wife calls me the mayor because she's there to go and talk to anyone. And so through that experience, through my experience, and I'm going to go back to when I was in college, my freshman year, I got an F in speech because I wasn't able to get up and to speak to anyone. But my senior year, I took that speech class over and I got an A because I had progress and was able to talk to people. So my thing is knowing if I was going to say something important, what to your community, to your listeners, is to learn how to network, how to communicate with people. There are so many resources that people miss because they do not learn how to communicate and ask questions. I that's one thing I will ask people anything, and I guess that's why my wife calls me the mayor, because I go up to everyone and just introduce myself, and I find myself, not knowing that I'm doing it until after I do it. Man, I'm up here talking to people.
So listening to you, networking would be something that you would really share and tell
Right.
people.
Learn how to network, how to communicate, how to socialize. You
Okay,
know what?
okay.
when when I was slipping into the back door, I was in the background because I didn't know people. But then walking around talking to people are human. They want you to talk to them. They like talking to you. And so you just, talk, you ask them about themselves, what they're doing in life.
Hmm.
Try not to talk about yourself.
Right, right. I got you.
and
I understand.
and when you communicating with that, you develop friendship. That's how. Now let me go with this. I call myself the Motown specialist because I hang out with a lot of the Motown family, and that started. I went to a Oscar viewing party, and I was on the red carpet. And to fast forward, Barry Gordy's nieces, Iris and Carla Gordy, were late, so they missed the red carpet. And this is God again. I was in the ballroom, but I had to use the restroom because they made a ballroom in the backyard of this estate in Beverly Hills. And they had these portable bathrooms outside. I had to use the restroom. And at that time, when I had to use the restroom, is when the Gordys were coming up. And I just ran and smack into them and I said, you're late for this red carpet. Let me take your picture. So I took their picture. Then I said, what is your name? And she said, Iris Gordy. And this is my daughter, um, Carla Gordy. And I was trying to be funny. I said, you're not related to Barry Gordy. And she said, that's my uncle.
Wow, wow.
And so when I gave her my name and my email is bowling high. Um, she said, do you bowl? Are you a bowler? And I said, yes. And so that next month they were having every year around November 9th. That's her father was a professional bowler. And so they give a bowling tournament in his honor. So she invited me to the bowling tournament. And Barry Gordy was there, Janie Bradford, Mickey Stevenson, Mary Wilson, just Motown family. And it was like you were at a family reunion. Everybody was just being themselves, socializing. And from that, I have met, a lot of the Motown people. And Janie Bradford has the Hell Award. This year, she was her 30th year, and she said this was her last year. But going to those events, you see a lot of stars and celebrities and
Hmm.
in a different situation, atmosphere.
Beautiful.
And I've through that networking, I won't say I'm their friends, but I'm their friend.
Got you.
And I'd say I'm their friend. You're my friend if I have your phone number,
That's,
and I have their phone numbers.
I hear you well. I hear you well. With all that you have gone through and all that you've done, uh, how have these experiences and events uh, helped you, you know, in your with your daily challenges or whatever you have had to go through in your own life? Have you
Right, right.
have you
Well,
thought through that? And
yeah, I would say, like I said, when I first came here to Los Angeles, I I really thought I was being punished in a sense, but I knew I had to go through a struggle, a journey, because when I first came here, I thought people in Los Angeles were not friendly. And I remember being on the bus stop one day, catching the bus, and I spoke to this guy, a black guy. And I said, hello, how you doing? He said, you talking to me? And I said, yes. He said, why are you talking to me? And I said, oh, that's just what we do. And then you learn, you have to be careful with people and when you're speaking with them. But I learned through that situation, um, everything is not good, I mean bad. So you have to look for the good. and I knew I've always been in church. And so, I had to go on my Christian experience and what you do with your Christian experience. When you leave one place, you have to find yourself at, you join another assembly. And so that was one of the first thing that I wanted to do, was find a church home, which I did. I found a church home and they became my family, even though I'm not a member there now because I moved, out to Chino, but we are still family. I can still talk to those people. So there you go with networking. I found networking in the church. And then being in the community, going to social events, you network with people. And one experience, if you don't mind me saying, Katie Hall, she was the congresswoman from Indiana. She also was my neighbor. She lived down the street from me. She was a school teacher. And the Black Women Forum of Los Angeles had her out here as a guest speaker. And so, of course, you wanted to go see her. And I went in, it was a ladies' tea or luncheon, but I went there anyway. And I said, I know Katie Hall, I would like to speak with her. And so the person at the door took me to Katie Hall. And at that time, Miss Mary Henry, who was the executive director of Avalon Carver Community Center in Los Angeles, was there also. And she said, I'm from Gary, and I graduated from Roosevelt High School 1949. I said, I'm from Gary, and I graduated in 74. So she said, you come to my office on Monday. And through that association, we restarted the Gary Club with people from Gary. We started. So that was another way of networking.
So I'm getting it. Networking. I hope listeners hear this. Networking is, and that's really what I'm trying to get to, is to kind of help listeners to find their niche, be encouraged, be inspired, and if they're going through something, they will be transformed. That's the whole point of what I'm doing. And you have done an excellent job with that today, Richard. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate you just coming on and sharing your background, sharing your experiences and events in your life. It has been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. It's been my honor, Mr. James Smith.
Thank you so very much. And there you have it, Richard Nichols, all the way from Chino, California.
Chino, California.
Right. Chino,
Thank you.
California. Great to have you this day to share with listeners. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please go to my website, www.dealbyme.com, and check my books out. Deal by Me, Golden Opportunity Blown. Deal by Me, second edition, a self-evaluation. And I can assure you, you will be encouraged, you will be inspired, and hopefully transformed. And until next time, peace and blessings to each of you.